Hello, hello, and happy Monday, deities. Hope everyone is having a great start to the week. Happy Cinco de Mayo for those that celebrate. Happy belated Star Wars Day for those that celebrate Star Wars Day as well. But welcome to another edition of Titan Talk. I'm Isiah, Kilgoon with me as well. And it's going to be a lighter show because OB9 launched this morning.
Yeah, you just reminded me that it's Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So I'm originally from California. I'm from kind of rural California, and Cinco de Mayo was always a huge deal out there because there's so much Mexican American culture in California, and I don't see as much of it here in Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of other different cultural groups, but it's such a huge thing for Cinco de Mayo.
Sure.
In school growing up, we always had huge Cinco de Mayo festivals and stuff. But yeah, anyway, happy Cinco de Mayo to those who celebrate. So
that's awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, as I said earlier, Open Beta 9 did launch this morning. We did want to call out just a few known issues that the team is digging into right now with the update that launched this morning. So a couple things. One thing that we noticed and actually already fixed, there was an issue with the eSports quips not being able to be purchasable, but also taking diamonds at the same time.
It was the worst kind of purchase bug, because it's not just you didn't get the thing, it's that you didn't get the thing and it took your diamonds.
Yeah.
So we've cleaned that up. So if you did try and purchase it, one person tried to purchase it 4 times.
Oh my goodness.
It took their diamonds 4 times and they didn't get it. We ran a script, so you should have it now if you tried to purchase it. And if you tried to purchase it multiple times, your diamonds have been refunded.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. We are also aware of the reports that have been coming in from our console and Gamepad players about bindings resetting with the update, so we're digging into that one as well.
So I know a little bit more about that one. So we're constantly running experiments to see what's the better experience for new players, right? And one of the things that we tested 10 years ago was if it was better to start players with Gladiator, our default control scheme with XABY being your abilities, or if it was better to start them with Savage. And at that time, the results were pretty overwhelmingly that it was better to start them with Gladiator.
Yeah.
They just got the game better and they stuck around and played longer. But we kind of had a theory that that now players are so used to playing games that have more similar control schemes to Savage that those results might be different now.
Yeah.
So we tried to change it just for new players, but I think we inadvertently changed everyone's settings.
Okay.
So that was a total mistake that we're still looking into why it happened. But that is the root cause was we were trying to run an experiment for new players only, and I think it inadvertently touched everybody's settings. So apologies for that.
Yeah, sorry. We know that's rough, especially if you're just hopping into game and things are off.
Definitely not intended. We had tested it in dev, and we were very confident it was not going to affect anybody's keybinds, but unfortunately in live it did. So I am sorry about that.
Let's see. What else do I have on my list? With God Builder, we're aware of reports from some people that auto skill is not being taken into account if you're pinning a build.
If you have more details about this, please let us know. And we're not sure if this is people that are pinning builds that don't work, they're not set up properly, in which case there's not much we can do about it, or if it's people that are pinning builds that are set up properly and it's not working. And if that's the case, either way, we would love more information so that we could track it down. But we're still looking into that because we haven't been able to reproduce it for builds that are working.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the last thing I had with God Builder, we're aware of some reports coming in that the search functionality may not be working as intended if you're trying to search for a community-created build in the God Builder page. So the crew is digging into that as well.
Yep. So we are definitely investigating everything. This person who says even default auto level isn't working for me with no pinned builds. That is interesting. If you have any details, is this happening on a specific god or on all gods? Because it does seem like it has been working for us in our testing in live today. So
taking a note.
Toggled it off and on for all gods on Steam. Are you using auto build and auto level, or are you just using one or the other? It's set up correctly, but it won't follow what you put for abilities orders on console for all gods.
Looks like there may be a larger issue that we need to dig in.
No. Okay, so this person that's having issues says that they don't have auto build on. They just want auto level.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we tested that specific case, but we can take a look at that. Everybody says we're quiet today, but I don't know how to turn up the volume overall.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So I'm sorry, Chad. Turn up the volume on your end.
Yeah, I'll move my mic a little bit closer too. Yeah.
I lean into the microphone to speak. I turn my head to the side when I breathe in.
Sweet. Well, I think those are just my 4 on the hit list that we had to communicate for known issues. But we're going to leave the majority of the show open for Q&A. If you've got any feedback, if you've got any bug reports that you want to pass along. Kilgoon has his handy-dandy notepad. I've got my handy-dandy desktop. So we're both going to be taking notes and chatting with you all about Smite 2 and the latest.
I have my list of things I was right about.
Nice.
And that idea is garbage.
Oh,
and
nice.
You can see that. Yeah, there you go. So these were a gift. I would not buy these for myself, but I thought they were funny, so I still use them.
Cool. Lord Dragon says the volume is great. I can hear you both well. All right, cool.
Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a lot of stuff to talk about today. So
we had a big update, though.
We had a big update. We always keep it a little bit light on patch day because we aren't sure how much we're going to be fighting fires and if the show's even going to happen. So far, we haven't had to cancel a patch
I know, right?
show.
Yeah, knock on wood.
But it's there's always a risk that one of us or both of us are just caught dealing with stuff and we have to cancel on a patch day. So we keep it pretty light.
Let's see. Is there an option to private God Builder build so we can gatekeep?
So initially, that is interesting. Initially, we had talked about basically making you click to share your God Builder build, but then we were worried that there just wouldn't be enough builds that were filtering into the system. We could theoretically add a private build button. Maybe if you're like a pro trying to keep something secret, it might have some value. But not something that we'd thought about once we decided to move away from the having to click to share your build function.
Gatekeeping is crazy. With the Kitsune Ratatosker. That's hilarious. Let's see here. All right. Most tank players are feeling tanks are way too weak. Too many consecutive nerfs in a row. Thoughts on this?
So it's a couple hours of the patch being live. I think that it's hard for us to have a firm idea of how live is looking right now. Most of us, just the way our morning flows on patch day morning too, right? Like I would say most of the team has not played a game on live yet because generally speaking, people get up in the morning to roll the patch out. We run like some test games, but not like competitive level conquest games. Like we might run an arena, we might run, some AI matches, just making sure things are working, right? And then our morning, just the way that we flow here, starts out with playtest, basically. So most of our morning has been getting ready for the playtesting the dev build, and then doing feedback on dev build. And then we ate lunch and we came here, right? So I would imagine that the designers are probably playing their first live games now-ish,
And I have a feeling Max is probably just now waking up and starting to run his queries to get some data and stuff on like that as well. Yeah,
I will say in our playtest this morning, which I don't think we have any of the build or any of the balance for OB10 is the next update. I don't think we have any of the balance for OB10 in yet. I think it's just still OB9 balance. Tanks felt really tanky in our playtest this morning, I would say. From your perspective?
Yeah, I would say so as well. I was playing ADC and I was getting farmed, but after I got my levels online and once we started team fighting and we got a little bit towards late game and I had my executioner built, I felt like I was shredding them pretty well. But up until then, I did feel like tanks were feeling pretty tanky.
Yeah, I did not have a good game either. This was like Pawn and Caps desperately trying to carry our team, and like me, Travis, and Isiah like just dragging the team down at every opportunity. But we managed to win, so it was good. But no, I definitely, definitely think that there's more learning to be done on the state of tanks in live. The one anecdotal data point I have from our playtest today was they felt tanky, but we need to figure out how it actually is working in live.
Yeah, we're going to continue to keep an eye on things. Once we get some data from Max, once the designers get a feel for actual games in live, it's not like an end all be all with this update, right? We're going to continue to change and shift as we see fit, for sure.
Yeah, and I do think that this there is a it's somewhat hot take, but I think that the sentiment is correct that tanks were very overtuned for a very long time. So even if a tank is more balanced, it might feel weak by comparison.
It's true, yeah.
So maybe give it a couple games and see how you're feeling after that. I know first impressions are really hard to overcome, but I do agree that tanks were OP for a very long time. So it might be more a difference by comparison than a real problem that we're dealing with.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any questions about the update today?
Serb's targeter for where enemies will land when he ults is missing with non-aspect. That's weird. I haven't seen that one.
Non-aspect.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to write that one down?
Yeah, I got it. Serb ult targeter missing.
Yeah, we will take a look at that for non-aspect.
Yeah. Let's see. We should do a new office tour. That would be a fun little video.
That would be a fun little
like
video.
a TikTok or something.
Yeah, we could walk around and show
Yeah,
people.
maybe I'll throw that into the content calendar.
It's nice, I would say.
Yeah.
It's so we were crammed into a small building until very recently.
Mm-hmm.
And this gave us a lot more room to spread out. This is the tallest building I've ever worked in.
Yeah.
So we're on the 4th floor now. So it's like we look out the windows and it's like we're up high.
Yeah.
And it's weird for me. But yeah, we could do it. That would be a fun video. We could do that sometime.
Yeah. Opinion on letting us blink when dealing damage, but not when receiving.
Yeah, I think honestly we just haven't gone back to the combat blink like thought process because we've been in the middle of this like
Huge
big
item
rebalance,
specialization pass,
you know, and I don't think that we're like done with it. I think I will say the moments of time where you're dealing damage but not receiving damage usually are pretty slim in Smite. Usually you're taking at least some return damage, so it might be less exciting than you think it would be. But I've also seen there's a proposal of like, you can blink while you're CC immune. So if you have like a CC immune ult, you can blink during it. I've seen proposals of it's combat blink is back, but you can, if you blink towards people, the cooldown is short, and if you blink away from people, the cooldown's really long. I've seen proposals of there should just be 2 separate blinks because it's never going to work, and we need to have 2 separate options. I think we're still figuring out what the best path forward is. I think that the good part of removing it is there's less that's bullshit moments.
Yeah.
The bad part of removing it is for the higher level players, there's less that was sick moments, right? So I think we're still thinking through the details. I'm not going to say it's like a finished conversation, but it just hasn't been our top priority because we've been so focused on the items with our design time recently.
Yep. Yes, Chaotic Strife, if you missed the top of the show, we are aware of there being some issues with auto skill that the team is looking into.
Yeah, we got some good feedback already on that, so we will pass that along to the team and try and get that solved a little bit more. Again, with the way our morning is scheduled, it was like the first part of the morning is getting the patch live, and then it was playtest, and then it's like, okay, now we need to investigate some of these other bugs. There were some bugs that we did dive into first thing when the patch went live because we were like, these are serious.
High tier, yeah.
But we couldn't find much repro for the auto skill ones, so there's some good details.
I really liked your ranked Joust idea that you pitched on Friday. Have we thought more about that? We had a pretty long discussion with some of the ambassadors after that as well, and I know that you've been thinking about that for a long time. So it wasn't just a spur of the moment idea for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's something that you also see in a lot of other games do similar things, right? For those of you who weren't here, the basic idea was like, should you have a combined queue for, essentially we were talking about Joust, where it starts off as a casual queue, but you're making progress, and then once you hit a certain point, it becomes a ranked queue with picks bands
and
kind
leaderboards.
And leaderboards. So the problem with this, I think that there is a strong argument that we should do this personally, but the people who are opposed to it just don't want to play with bans, or they don't want to play with the. I don't understand it because I don't understand the argument, but as it's been explained to me, it's like they approach matches with a different mindset based on the label on the queue, and they don't want to feel like they have to try or something.
It's more you going with like a laid back mindset.
Yeah.
This is casual. I'm just chilling. I'm vibing. Versus the people that want to play ranked or like they're going into it for like the high tier competitive experience. I can see both sides of the coin for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, this was not a thing that we were going to do immediately if we ever got around to testing it, because it would be a decent amount of like work to implement it in a way that was obvious to players what was happening, and that like you are making progress, and like that it feels good. And like, this is one of those, there's some systems that we can like I think a good example is middle mouse button ping, right? Middle mouse button ping, we could throw in, click middle mouse button, and it places a ping in the world very quickly. If we wanted to like go in and then add context sensitive middle mouse button ping, that's going to be a bigger arc of work. But we didn't need to do all of that work to get some benefit from it in the short term. Whereas this kind of a unified ranked queue would require a decent amount of work to even understand if the idea has value. So it's definitely not an immediate thing, but I think it is something that we're going to keep talking about, and we're going to keep trying to figure out what's best for the game, right? But I mean, like, you definitely see, this is just an example. There's a lot of examples of similar systems in games. Like Overwatch 2's new stadium mode, right? There's no non-ranked version of that mode. It works in a very similar mechanism where it's like you play games and you rank up, and then once you hit a certain point, it becomes more hardcore, and then you're just that's just how you play the game, right? And I think, as with a lot of things with Smite 2, Smite 1 players are just so used to having the option of playing casual forever that maybe that will be more of a like, we can't do this even though it would be better for the game, because people will complain too much if we do it. So I don't know. We're still
we'll keep cooking. Keep thinking about it for sure.
I was talking for a long time and I wasn't reading chat.
No
Are there
worries.
any good questions that came up while I was?
Let's see here. Somebody is reporting that the chat window in game is still only staying up for 2 seconds. That was supposed to be lengthened, but I will take a note for our crew to look into it.
I'm in the game right now, and the Traveler Store isn't buying me anything. Do I need to have premium to unlock any of it? Yes, you do need to purchase the page to be able to buy any of it. How many trophies do I have in Blueprints? Somebody's been reading my Twitter. I don't know. I think I have like 5 of the trophies. I don't want to give spoilers on the show, but I'm deep in it. I'm probably going to stop playing sometime soon, though, because I feel like this is the kind of game that I could play for.
Oh yeah, you could get lost in it for
way too long. But there's so much other stuff that I want to play, right? Like part of our job is like, you need to know what's going on in the popular games, and
even games outside of the competitive free to play MOBA space, right?
Yeah. So it's important that like I like, just from a like doing my job perspective, I don't get stuck on it too long, because I feel like I could keep playing it for like another 3 months, and like I got to move on. But I'm really enjoying it. It's a very good game.
Let's see here. Any plans to improve the profile and friends page?
The thing that pops out, or
that's what I would assume.
Yeah. So yes, we are continuing to work on party and friends. There were supposed to be improvements this update, if they're not. So I'm hopeful that we get some for next update. The profile in general, I think there's more that we could do, but there's not. I don't know if we have a firm like plan to make the profile page better. I think there's other things that are just a higher priority right now. But I do agree that like there's some weird things with like friends and party invites and stuff that we need to get cleaned up. I've seen this request a couple times recently for a cursor-like option on console, and that directional input feels clunky in the store. Historically, we've always gotten feedback that like it's much better to not have a cursor to navigate that kind of thing, because it is a very like complicated UI to navigate, I guess. And that's like why we have done the work to build it with full console navigation, right? It would actually have been easier for us to build the store to just have a cursor, but we thought that that does not feel as good. So we're kind of on this path right now. Maybe at some point in the future we could examine another way. But I think that like, generally speaking, our feelings have been that it's better with like traditional up, down, left, right navigation than like a fake cursor, because it's harder to know exactly where your cursor is. Please do something about AFK punishment. Why do I lose 72 SR for having 2 AFKs on my team? Ranked is full of rage quitters, AFKs lately. So we have actually increased our punishment for people who AFK. So especially for repeat instances, you will be banned for multiple days. So hopefully we do start to crack down on that a little bit. But yes, we agree that there should be repercussions for going AFK. And if you, and we also want, I mean, we put in this new feature where if somebody on your team is AFK for a certain amount of time, you can leave without, and just queue for another match, right? You'll still take the win or the loss. And I know that that's less rewarding, especially in ranked, where you're like, I still shouldn't have to lose because this person left. But at least you're not stuck in a losing game as long. Especially in ranked, it's very hard for a team that's a man down to win. If you're in casual, anything can happen, you know? But like our match today was...
Oh, yeah, I know.
Ridiculous. Anyway, so yeah.
Bug question. Did this patch address pin builds not being able to be unpinned? I can't unpin or manual build on my Hercules. I haven't heard of that.
Thought we fixed that. What platform are you on? We are looking into the Xbox crashes. I'm not sure if this patch has a fix for that or not, but we are continuing to work on that. I saw another. Oh, there's a question. Will the bee emoji skin come to the store eventually? We haven't committed to whether it will or won't come to the store, so I can't give you a firm answer. The Bumblebee Jingwei as a classic skin will be available as a legacy gem skin, a classic skin, once the wandering or the traveling market goes away. For the emoji skin, I think we're kind of torn between two things of either do we potentially like leave it in the market and make it so the market can potentially come back again sometime in the future, or do we not leave it in the market, and then if we sell it in a different way, then we can never really bring the market back. So I think it kind of depends on how the market does and how people feel about it. Like, this is kind of a new thing for us, this like traveler market. So we're not 100% committed one way or the other on what we will do with that. But like, it could come back every spring or something, right? As like, here's your spring traveler market, right? You know, and like maybe we add another page to it next time. So I don't know. Like, we don't really. This was a test. Like I said, getting middle mouse button to click was a good test because we could do it quickly, right? Like, this is a good test because we could do it quickly and see how people feel about it. Let's see. There's Zeus aspect, which gives him his shield back like it's my one win. We do get a lot of requests for this.
Yeah.
We haven't committed on what Zeus's aspect will be. I know that this is a common question of should it be this.
Community request,
I think there are a lot of negatives to Shield Zeus, just in terms of a gameplay flow perspective. But I understand that people have gotten used to it over the years, and like most things that we change from Smite 1 to Smite 2, they inevitably want things the way that they were in Smite 1 to some extent. So.
people in chat saying, give the shield back.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll let the design.
Some people are
take
saying never do the shield. Some people are
Yeah.
saying give it back, right? So it's kind of 50-50. And that's always the problem with when we change things, right? Is
Yeah.
that like it's almost like we were talking about with Medusa, right? Or not Medusa, Mulan.
Yeah.
Where it's like, 50% of people wanted us to go to the new model. 50% wanted us not to. And it's like,
Yeah, it's tough.
it's tough.
Let's see here. Are we ever going to get faster God release pace?
Maybe eventually, but I think there's just so much other stuff that we like. As with, every team, no matter how big they are, has like resource restrictions, right? There's only so much that you can get done at a time, and you need to be focused on the things that you think will make the most impact to the game overall, right? So the question is really, do we think that the best thing to do with our resources right now is to make additional gods or gods at a faster pace? And I think for us right now, the answer is no. Like, we think that the current pace is pretty darn fast. It's every 2 weeks is pretty quick, guys. And I understand that, like, the main reason why it doesn't feel fast is for people that are like, but there's a bunch of gods that I'm still waiting on from Smite 1, right? But I think until we fix some of the other like core underlying issues and things that we know could be better about the base game, that doing a faster god pace isn't going to make things better for us. So,
all right. Has our stance on full reworks on gods, like for example Freya, changed at all? There are very few gods that really need a full rework, but Freya and Bake, for example, are very problematic.
Oh, Bake Kujira.
Yeah,
Bake
sorry.
Kujira. For some reason, my brain auto-completed that to Bakasura. And it's like, who has a problem with Bakasura's kid? It's just kind of, he just attacks you and he throws up on you. You're like, what's wrong with that? So I think this kind of goes back to what we're saying, where there's always potential to do a full rework.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that we're not full reworking anybody, right? If it's the right thing to do and the community is generally behind it and we have a good idea for how we could shift the god, then I think we're open to the concept of it, right? But historically, there has been one rework in the history of Smite that was well received, and it was the Loki rework.
Yeah.
And I would say there's probably still going to be 5 people in chat that say old Loki was better, right? People just don't like it when we change the stuff that they like. And there's always somebody who likes that. There are some games that the player base is very different, and they accept change a lot more than the Smite player base has shown us that they will. But I think that, like, we reworked Freya once. People didn't like her. Nox is a rework technically, and she's better than the base. But I think if we reworked her now, people would be upset because they played with it so long. And the problem with like a character like Nox's problem is she's got this big silence field, right? And it's so hard to play around, especially in like arena, right? Like Nox arenas are like the worst, right? Dude, I get so mad. I get so mad about Nox arena, but that's who she is. And if you change it or if you make it weaker, then is that Nox anymore, right? And you're like, oh, okay, well, we can make her ult be the silent circle, and it can be a relatively short cooldown ult, but it's not up as frequently. But then her grab pairs with the ult, so what does the grab do? Like, you get into this big cycle of like, how do you make the character still feel very similar to the way that they played before, but be something new? And then it kind of gets back to the like, well, should we just take what they did and plus one it, right? So I think that there are a lot of things that we could do, with any god, right? We could, and we aren't saying that we will never do a full rework, but we need to have the right rework in mind. It needs to be for a god that the community would embrace the idea of a rework. And that's kind of the main criteria, I would say. Yeah, don't you dare hurt Nox. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Old Nox was interesting.
Yeah.
She never really did what she was supposed to do well, but I like the idea of like the anti-mage kind of thing. Upwash wants Upwash in the game.
Oh, the
I'm
propaganda
shocked.
has started.
No, it's fair. There is a good amount of healing in the game right now. I would also argue there's a good amount of shielding in the game right now. And having an anti-heal focus god or more anti-heal in the game is maybe something we should be considering, right? Upwash is not on the immediate future. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Sorry, yeah.
But I understand the feedback that is at the root of that. I probably shouldn't answer this, but I'm going to answer this one. What if you let us try different rework ideas, like rudimentary tests? The problem with when we give people multiple options is that almost universally, people will split almost equally among the available options, right? It's one of the reasons why for a long time we actually, like, some people really love that we show all of the like different concept art ideas that we had in the Closer Look blogs. And we stopped doing that for a while because inevitably whenever we post the concept art, we would have 3 threads saying, why didn't they pick this one? Why didn't they pick this one? Why didn't they pick this one? It was always a different one, right? Like, everyone is going to have their own personal favorite and their own thought about what the right way of doing something is. And then as soon as we choose one of those and the others become not the way that we're doing things, then it leads to more negativity that we aren't doing it the way that people thought that some percentage of people thought we should have, than positivity that we're doing the thing that most people wanted us to do and is exciting, right? So this was one of the problems with our old tier 5 voting, right? Like, we would have like 3 concepts and people would vote for the one they liked the best. Sometimes we did 2, I guess, but like we'd have multiple concepts and there would be as much vocal negativity that the one people didn't want or the one people wanted didn't get picked as there was excitement for the one that did get picked. So it just led to like more negativity overall than just us coming up with something cool and being like, look guys, here's the one thing that's cool. And I know that's like less exciting for the community, but at the same time, it's like, it leads to more people being happy. So it's like, what's the right move for us in that situation? You know, it's very difficult.
Let's see here. The God selection page looks really busy with all the ranks. Could we make them a little bit smaller? I think there was some feedback around specifically the progress line.
Yeah.
Maybe thinning that out just a little bit.
Yeah, we can definitely take that feedback and take a look at it. I think that it needs to be big enough to see, but the size might be slightly wrong.
Yeah. I've never thought about this, but can we get closed captioning for voice lines for those of us with hearing issues?
I don't even know how we would go about that. That's not something we've discussed internally. It's something I can ask about, but I don't have any. It's just not something that we've thought about. So I'm sorry that we did not think about you until now. But I will ask the question. I'm sorry.
Can follow up with the team for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Will flat pen make a return? And will we see other Premiere Pen options? So flat pen is very powerful. And I think we're trying to make the game work mostly without flat pen right now. I guess there technically kind of is flat pen on Oathsworn and Stone of Binding, but not on like always on directly purchasable flat pen. Yeah. Because it's just extremely strong. It's one of those things that people didn't realize how strong it was, I think, you know, because like, oh, there's only 10 flat pen. What's that going to do for me? It's like, oh no, that's actually huge. Right. So I think we're trying to make the numbers work without that. We're not opposed to, you know, in the future, we'll always consider things. Right. But, I think we're kind of happy with the way that pen's working with this new vision of it.
Yep. Can we eventually get more God level customization? Is
I
this
don't know
for
what
just
that-
like
Oh, do you want to equip
individual
like a different?
god by god basis stuff, or yeah? I'm curious to hear more context on what you're looking for.
Oh, this is a good bug report. Merlin's stun animation is non-existent.
I thought we fixed that.
I thought we fixed that too.
I'm taking a note. Could have been one of those things to where we fixed it in a hotfix, but it didn't get integrated into the mainline build. Bug report. Guan isn't knock up or knock back immune and is 2 now. I will take that note.
Yeah, more customization for individual gods, like picking a music pack for a specific god. So we talked about this a little bit on Friday, I guess, where there's again kind of a split in the community where some people are like, I just want to equip things once and have it work everywhere, and other people are like, I want to equip things on everything on a per god basis. So we're kind of towing the line right now between the two, and I think the first thing that we're going to do is make it easier to equip all. And then we could consider in the future making some more things equipable on a per god basis once there is a way to equip everything.
Cool. Bug report, the VXGs for Odin appear to be broken, goes into A stance. Yes, I tossed a couple of those over to our Tech Arts team. I think the Athena one is having an issue as well, where she kind of goes into an A stance as well.
Can't use the 4th slot of global emotes. There's no keybind for it since the quips update. We'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Where's the Alani? I drank too much caffeine today. I'm sorry. I had to go with a non-caffeinated beverage for the show today. When will we get a new God roadmap? I think we might end up actually doing that a little bit sooner than later.
Yeah, maybe sometime towards the end of the week, early next week, probably.
Yeah, we're working through a couple things on our side to figure out exactly what we're locking in a few things, I guess I would say. But yeah, we'll do it soonish, I would say.
Soon-ish, yeah.
We'll try and give you at least a one show heads up before we do it.
Yeah.
So there is not a surprise, it's roadmap day. Everybody just wants it now.
Yeah, do it now. No, we got to give people
a little bit of heads up, and we got to make sure that we're ready for it.
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
once we announce and lock it in, it's hard for us to
and like these roadmaps are always a little bit speculative, right? Like things can always change, and things have changed from every roadmap that we put out so far. But I think that at least gives you an idea of where we're going, and it gives you a pretty I don't want to say like firm, but a pretty solid idea of what to expect and what to look forward to. So. Not sure if you can answer this, but how have sales been with Wandering Market? Too early to say for today's because it's a little bit different, but I would say that overall it's been pretty good. I would say it's been better than the Smite 1 Battle Pass system. And then the other benefit that we see is that, especially if you join Smite 2 as a new player in a year or something, and there's a bunch of different markets available to you, that then if you don't like the gods that are in the problem with Battle Pass is that there's only 4 gods in it, right? And if you don't like the gods that are in this month's Battle Pass, then you're not going to buy it. Yeah. And if you are a new player that joins later, you'll have a back catalog of things to pick and be like, oh, I want this one, and I'm going to work through that. And I want this one, and I'm going to work through that, right? So theoretically, it creates more lifetime value out of a piece of content as well. So we like the system. We think it's going well. And in part because it's been going well, we wanted to try this people is it because people like earning the coins and spending them? Is it because people like the format? What is it about it? Which is one of the things we want to try with this new Traveler that is out, for a limited time, and it's less content, but it's more of a premium thing, I guess I would say, because it's, it's a little bit less stuff, but more expensive. But I don't know. It's a seasonal offering, and see if people are interested in it.
Is Kali's Aspect supposed to be out today? No. So our Aspect release schedule for OB9, Guan Yu's Aspect will be coming out on Friday, and then next Monday will be Kali's aspect.
Did CC icons get bigger? They did, yes. We didn't mention this. We moved them slightly and we made them bigger to be more obvious. There's also, I don't think we put the silence thing in this patch. I think it might be the next patch. We're working on some stuff to make being silenced a little bit more noticeable because it's such a powerful crowd control effect that doesn't have the same level of like
Feedback?
oomph. Yeah, there's not a lot of feedback on it. So we're looking at that too.
Are we planning a 1.0 release, or is it still too soon?
When the game's ready.
Yeah.
I think that like it's something that we've talked about, but it's not, the game's not at the point where it would be worth doing right now. Mm-hmm. So we're not focused on that at the moment. Like we're focused on making the game better every week. And then once we make it better every week enough, it will be at the point where we feel like we can start planning for a 1.0. Is there a way to contact the customer support rep? There is. If you go to
HighResStudios.com, there's a support button at the top. And then after you click on that, you go to the support page. And then in the bottom right corner, there is a text/chat bubble that you can click to contact an agent.
Yeah.
Thanks for the command, Opwatch. We got it for you.
You talked about moving away from FOMO content. Why add it back with this traveler market? So I think there's a difference between having your main monetization feature and the main way you monetize be around like FOMO stuff versus having some seasonal things, right? Or having things that are on sale for an initial period and then go up to full price. Because we've been having things that are on sale for an additional period and then go up to full price since the beginning of Smite 2, right? And we're going to keep doing that, right? We have chests that rotate in and out. Is that bad FOMO that chests rotate in and out and not all the chests are permanently available? I think we see this more as like, hey, this is a special seasonal bundle thing that is going to go away at some point, but it's not meant to be like a cornerstone of the purchasing economy, if that makes sense. So at least based on where we are right now, I think that we are okay with this and don't think that it's like going back on anything that we were previously saying or doing, especially because like the wandering markets are going to keep working the way that they were working. So.
Can we lower the range of quips? Hearing fart noises halfway across the map is just obnoxious. I'm not sure. I know it's supposed to be kind of like local area. I'm not sure what that range is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the distance is.
Yeah. I'm taking a note to look into quip range.
Let's see.
I'm trying to read them. Got some long questions today.
Long questions, and it's moving pretty quickly. So sorry, we're being quiet. I'm just trying to find one that would be good to answer. This is an interesting question, and I guess it's something that we could do. In early Smite 1, you had to guess the HP by the UI bar for mobs, bosses, whatever, and then it was changed to show the actual number. Is there a reason why we don't have that for God hit point bars as well, rather than only the one tick is 100 hit points? I suppose we could do that. I think it's just like there is a point of busyness that we try to avoid, and sometimes we do it better than others, right? But I don't know if you would actually be able to read that in the moment a lot of the time. But maybe it would still be interesting. So I don't know. I can take it to the design team and see if they think that that's a an interesting thing to add. Yeah, I just don't know if that's something we've really even considered, but yeah, it's a good idea. This new Joust queue initiative, can we do it for Assault as well? we aren't even sure that we're doing this. This is still just like theoretical, guys. I was bullshitting about something that we've been talking about on stream, and it shouldn't take it as gospel that it's definitely going to happen. But again, it's like, I don't even know how it would work for Assault, because I guess Assault, like, would you want bans in Assault? Like, that seems weird. Like, there's less of a difference between. But I think like maybe having some kind of visible progress indicator,
or like leaderboards,
maybe.
Do we feel pressured to add +1s to new gods? I wouldn't use the word pressured. It's something that that we're always exploring and want to do, right?
Yeah, and I think that they've been of varying complexity, right? So I will say, like, when we first did our first wave of gods for Smite 2, we were. I don't want to say surprised, but we were somewhat surprised with how much people liked the +1s that we had added to some of the gods. And then that made us kind of change our planning to feel like we should be doing this for pretty much every god that we bring over, to make them feel a little bit new and unique and different. So I think we do go into the way that we approach making a god now is that the first thing we do is we focus on making the god good and feeling like their Smite 1 counterpart, right? And then from there, we think about, is there something that we can do that accentuates part of their kit or makes them more interesting in some way, right? Which is the +1, right? And sometimes it's, like on Merlin, it's just his blink has an extra effect added to it, right? Which is pretty small.
Yeah.
The heal can be powerful. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. It doesn't drastically change the way he plays. It's just a little something extra. Whereas, obviously, like, I think Amir's just the one that first comes to mind because he was kind of our first.
The rocket jump, yeah.
Yeah, like, and knocking people back with the wall and stuff. Yeah. It feels very different than Amir and Smite 1. So I think that we were. So it's not that they weren't initially planned. It's that they weren't initially planned for every god, right? It's that we felt like it was something that we were going to do on a large percentage of gods where it made sense. But the reaction was so positive that we decided we should probably be trying to do it for every god as long as it made sense, right? If we find the perfect god that just, like, don't touch them, then like I feel like Aphrodite, we didn't really change too much except the refire on the ult to pull yourself in, which is nice, but it's not like a huge change. Whereas Uller got almost nothing. I guess on the jump he got you
got the deployable fields whenever you switch stances.
Yeah.
On the 3.
So I mean, like, some gods got much smaller things. Some gods got much bigger things, and I think we're okay with that. But I think we do feel like every god needs something.
Yeah.
So that, I guess that's the only pressure, is that we feel like every god needs at least something, and it needs to add some new interesting wrinkle to how they play, but not drastically change. See, and Sobek didn't need the execute.
The sub-execute,
That's
though.
Like so fun. Come on.
A Kilgoon skin for Sylvanas. Write it down.
No.
It's just you on top of Grover.
No, nobody wants to skin me. This is...
Has there been any discussion on how to evolve how the game looks, like such as hair?
So hair in particular, there's been a lot of back and forth on through Smite's development, and we've tried a lot of different approaches. I think that generally speaking, we feel like the current style is the best blend of performance and visual fidelity and looking like the Smite art style, if that makes sense. We have run experiments with, like, hair cards and, more realistic hair, but it tends to feel more out of place, I think, with some of the other stuff that we have going on in the game. So I think that we're happy with our current hair implementation. I will say that there's other things that we continue to want to improve in terms of the visual quality, but it's always a battle between performance and visuals,
Yeah.
right? So I think that it's finding the right points to push and the right areas to optimize.
Yeah.
So
This is a fun one for you, Kilgoon. Do you take any inspiration from paladins when it comes to gods and their abilities?
occasionally I will mention something from Paladins, but I'm not a god designer, so it's more just like if I hear the designers talking through a specific design thing that pulls to mind something from Paladins, then I might mention that, right? But I will do the same with pretty much any hero-based game.
Or other game. Yeah.
It's just that I have more insight into like the development and the reception on Paladin stuff than I do on other games because I worked on that game for a while, right? But yeah, it's a good question. I feel like there was one example recently that I was like, oh, it's forgot that we were brainstorming that isn't released yet, so I can't use it.
No spoilers. Sorry, Chad.
There was an ability that was on a god that we were brainstorming that there was a similar ability was presented in an interesting way in Paladins, and I was like, oh, think about this because this is a way that Paladins solve the problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to take that advice or not, but that is a example with no details of yeah. What did I work on with Paladins? I was the brand director from basically shortly before like Siege of Ascension Peak through for a while. So I oversaw gameplay design, community, marketing, and kind of like what most studios would call like product management. So like the calendar, schedule, and features and all of that stuff. So it was part of my prior life before I managed to come back to Smite. So.
Are there plans to fix Pele's passive continuing to be lit with fire after the effects are over? Because it can be hard to tell if your passive is still active or not. I haven't heard that, but I'm taking a note.
You can take a look. Titan Talk Tier 5 Agni. Nobody wants to see that.
Man.
That's like, that's
no. That's cursed.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
Why don't we have both kinds of blink in the game? We talked about this earlier in the show, so go back and rewind.
We should probably talk to Emma about doing like a Titan Talk badge or something like
Yeah,
that.
that'd
Just
be fun.
because I see people ask about it every so often in chat.
I saw one person ask, how'd you pick which announcer packs are in, and when are we getting more? I think the plan is that we're going to add more in the next 2 updates.
Yep.
We just didn't want to do the work of adding them all at once because there's so many.
A little bit more intensive than music packs for announcer pack implementation.
Yeah. So I think it. I don't exactly know why the first 33 were chosen to be the first 33, and I do know there's a bug with Nanomancer Barons is playing somebody else's announcer pack right now, and we're aware of that. So that one will be fixed soon. We just split them up into thirds basically and did a third in the first patch and a third in the next patch. So it wasn't any grand conspiracy or anything. Can you make it faster to mute the entire enemy team?
We added an option in Smite 1 to where it was just you click it and it just mutes everybody in the lobby. Like I forget when we did that, but we did implement that into Smite 1. I think that's good feedback.
Yep. A couple people are asking about like specific announcer packs and if they're going to come back or not. Generally speaking, if it is a announcer pack that is tied to like a licensed property, it will not come back. So like the Ruby announcer packs can't come back because we don't have the license to do that. If it is an announcer pack that was created by a former employee, generally speaking, we reached out to the employee. Not generally speaking, we reached out to the employee, and if the employee said that they wanted it to stay a part of Smite 2, then we brought it along. If they didn't, or we weren't unable to make, if we didn't make contact with them, then we didn't bring it along because we just wanted to be respectful to people that used to work here. So, and I'm not going to go through the entire list of people ones that people are asking about. That's just kind of the general criteria for what is and isn't coming over. In Smite 1, we could have 2 keybinds per ability. Can we bring that back, or can we have individual god keybinds, please? So we do have individual god keybinds. It's just, well, wait, no, not keybinds, cast types.
Yes.
Yeah. We talked about this one before. It's not an immediate priority, but it maybe is something that will come back at some point in the future. Sorry, my brain was going down the cast type answer, and then it was the keybinds one. Yep. Can we get a real anti-crit item like in Smite 1 to reduce the crit's damage? The crit meta isn't fun. It's something we can definitely consider. I think that previously crits were not doing so great, so it was less of a pressing need, but I do agree that crit has gotten much better recently. The real questions. Pirate skin Sobek return? I don't think that's on the immediate to-do list, at least, because that skin's actually like a tier 4 because it's got the parrot, it's got the hat, there's a lot of like extra stuff to it, which makes it harder to bring over. So I don't think that one's happening immediately, but that's a good skin. Guan Unicorn is on the to-do list. I think that will be the first classic skin for Guan Yu. So we for a while internally, we were joking that he should have a Guan Cena skin, but the skin would have to be invisible, so it just would be not balanced for gameplay. Yep. And now we're on the classic skin discourse. Why not name him Gwandolf? That's pretty funny. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh my gosh, we're deep into pun territory now. This is if AJ was here, he would be like, AJ hates puns. Yeah. And he always was so mad when we would like name something or create an idea that the only reason for the idea was the pun. Yeah. He was like, it has to be a good idea and not just a good pun. We're like, but maybe a good pun is a good idea. Yeah. Like, no, it was just not his thing. So do we have tracking info on which skins were used more in Smite 1? We do. We have god equip rate. So basically, like, we know which skins were equipped the most, and we also know like ownership rate. So sometimes these things are like weighted, where it's like if a skin was in a popular event, then maybe more people own the skin and more people equip it because it's just more owned. And so then we look at like use rate across people that own multiple skins and yada yada. What is your favorite voice pack ever? That one Pharaoh is a Godzilla person.
Oh, nice. Godzilla is great. Yeah. Gosh, what is my favorite voice pack? I mean, I'm a big fan of Base Baron. Like,
Base Baron is really
he's just
good.
got so much character. It's so good.
I love the I don't even remember exactly what it's called, but the Christmas Sylvanas skin. It's so good. Yeah. Like it's like your reaction, like VGS is like a happy holiday indeed, and like ho ho ho. Like I don't know. It's just I always have so much fun like talking with my team using VGS on that skin. It just makes me smile. Yeah. So
and of course Super Chrono 64.
Oh, Super Chrono.
That's a great voice back.
I like the Father Time Chronos. That's my favorite Chronos skin because that skin uses some interesting voice lines, I will say. So anyway, there's a lot of good voice lines. But yeah, anyway, a lot of fun options out there. You never knew that I voiced Christmas Sylvanas. No, I'm not a voice actor by any means. I'm notorious in my family for doing the worst impressions of any human being. Yeah. But I try, and people like that I put the effort into it, I think. Any news on some of the VGS not casting? Which VGS aren't casting? I've seen this be reported by some people, but I've never seen what's not working. Because I've gone through them all, and they all seem like they're working.
And are you in practice?
If you're in practice, then it doesn't work in practice. Yeah. That's known issue. You can't use ones that have consecutive keep buy-ins. So like VAA won't work in practice, but it will work in the real map. Chronos shadow dropped like Oblivion. We actually dropped him 3 weeks ago, but because he's Chronos, there
you go. For the VGS, mainly the retreat tree. I am taking a note.
And are you on PC or console or a specific console? Because it might be. Sometimes these things are console specific.
Yeah.
It's usually like PlayStation has more console specific weird bugs than other platforms because of the way that it works.
Yeah.
Which I don't I don't know if I can get into legally, but yeah, interesting things about the way that platform works.
PC Spanish keyboard. Okay, that's
there you go. Yeah, non-English keyboards, non-QWERTY keyboards are a known issue thing that we need to address. So that would explain it.
Thank you for that info. As Jingwei22 points out, we're at 2 p.m., so it's time for one more question.
I can't believe that went really fast today.
I know,
it?
right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Alani check. Well, I already mentioned I'm not drinking Alani today.
I'm drinking Orange Kiss today.
I have a It's Wonder Water Ruby Raspberry Lemon Lime.
Okay.
It's not bad. I don't know if I'd say it's great, but it's not bad. It's refreshing.
One more question, quit, please.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Spanish is QWERTY. Okay, well maybe then I don't know. We'll take a look.
Yeah, take a look.
Yeah, I don't type in Spanish. Sorry. I'm hydrated. Gasp. If something is not bad, then you don't really like it. No, it's good. I've had other flavors that I like better, I would say. I think this one, I was hoping for more like lemon lime, and it ended up being more raspberry. And I think that like if I went into it thinking that I was going to get something more raspberry, I probably would have liked it more.
Okay with it.
Yeah, but it's like
you were feeling citrus today.
I was feeling citrus, and I ended up getting more of like it's like I thought it was going to be more like, you know, when you get like strawberry lemonade, and it's more lemonade than strawberry.
Right.
Like I was thinking it was going to be like raspberry lemonade, but it's raspberry with some lemon squeeze. Yeah. So anyway, too much drink talk as always.
We stay hydrated here on Titan Talk, you know.
We do,
and
we
well
do.
caffeinated as well.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I saw a good one and then I lost it.
I'm sorry, I distracted you with my
There we
discussion.
go. Here we go. With the new room, does the team plan on maybe having more guests or something new planned, or was it just for a technical standpoint? So we do have the ability for a four-top now. Traditionally, we've only had like 3 people on the show, so we now have all of our audio issues fixed up thanks to Handyman. So if we wanted to, we could have 4 people on the show. We'd have to do a little bit of shifting around of cameras and stuff like that. But in terms of show formats or anything else, I know we've had it on our list to think about different show formats for Titan Talk, but we haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah, I think we've just been so busy with other stuff. We've been like, but no, we would always love to have more guests. If any Titan Forge people are watching,
on the show,
let us know. We do reach out to the team pretty regularly and ask, you know, if anybody wants to be on the show. It's very I would say, like, if you're not somebody who has done this kind of thing before, it can be very intimidating. But I think everybody really appreciates having new faces on the show and getting to know more of the team. So we'll keep asking and see if other people want to be on. I think that we do. The other benefit of making the move is that because the rest of the studio had moved across the street, if anybody wanted to be on the show, they had to go across the street to a building that our keys no longer work for. Like Isiah and I still had keys, but they didn't have keys, so we had to like let them into the building to use the podcast room. So it's like it's easier for people to be on the show now that it's moved. And then it's just like not having to walk across the street.
I know, right? It's my desk is literally around the corner.
Yeah, like you have the closest desk to this room.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it'd be fun to have a 4-person show one day. We'll have to figure out who the good crew would be.
For sure,
so, and then I have to pick a question. I don't know if I have a good answer for this, but I like the question. What is the best thing that I've designed in Smite 2? So I'm not a designer. I should be very clear about that. I don't want anybody to think that like I am responsible for the stuff that. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like I don't deserve the credit, right? Like our designers deserve the credit, right? I give a lot of like feedback on features, and I help set the calendar about like what things we are doing and what things we aren't doing, and like I help prioritize things. And I sometimes on more like UI or monetization specific features, I offer more feedback or guidance, or like I wouldn't go as far as say like a design document, but like here's a breakdown of the way that this feature works in a similar game or in our previous games, and here's a way that we could consider adapting that for Smite 2. So I would say like the best example, or a good example of a system that I was very involved in, and probably the one I'm the most happy with is Wandering Market. Like I was one of the main people behind the push for the switch to that format. That we felt like that was just we had really good meetings breaking down like, okay, what are the things that we want our battle pass system to achieve, and then what kind of designs could we do that fit into that and achieve these goals, and what are the trade-offs for this approach for this other approach, and how do we price things, and how many coins should each thing in the page be priced, and how quickly should you earn coins, and like all of that. Like I'm not the only person that designed that feature, but I was very involved with Wandering Market becoming a feature. So I would say that's something that I'm pretty pleased with. Yeah. I have some UI stuff I'm cooking on right now that may or may not see the light of day that I would be proud of if it happens. But yeah, there's a lot of fun things that I've got to be part of, and I think that Wandering Market is a big improvement for Smite 2. So I will take that one as my
Absolutely.
one. So sweet.
Well, that's the wrap for our show today. Chat, thanks so much for hanging out. We will see you back here on Wednesday for another episode of Titan Talk. But until then, hope you all have some good games in Open Beta 9 that went live this morning. Go try out Guan Yu, all the new item changes, and the buzzing springtime traveler market. Lots of cool stuff.
eSports
quips, yeah. So until then, we will see you all in the battleground. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Peace.